and welcome back to the AQA GCSE History, Britain, Health and the People revision series. This is episode 6 and we're looking at the Renaissance. The Renaissance was a time for continuity and change. There was a rediscovery of knowledge from classical Greek and Roman times. Western doctors gained access to the original writings of Hippocrates, Galen and Avicenna. This led to greater interest in the four humors theory and treatment by opposites. Ideas about medicines, myths and magic faded away. People thought about how the human body worked based on direct observations and experimentation. In the 16th century, Protestant Christianity spread throughout Britain in the Reformation. This reduced the influence of the Catholic Church in many aspects of life, including medicine. Religion was still important, but the Church no longer had control over medical teachings. This was partly due to the fact the new books had been discovered stated that the section and anatomy were both very important. This encouraged many to examine the body themselves and to come up with their own conclusions about what caused disease. As a result, many began to question Galen's thinkings and that of other ancient doctors, but his work still continued to be studied. Vesalius, William Harvey and Ambrose Perry are all notable key individuals within the history of medicine. Vesalius was born in 1514. He was a medical professor at the Padua University in Italy. He believed that surgery could be successful if doctors had better understanding of anatomy. Vesalius was granted permission to perform dissections on criminals who had been executed. He wrote books based on his observations, using accurate diagrams to illustrate his findings. His notable works included 6 Anatomical Pictures, which was published in 1538, and The Fabric of the Human Body, which was later published in 1543. Vesalius helped to point out some of Galen's mistakes, including proving that there are no holes in the septum of the heart. His findings encouraged others to question Galen. This led to many more medical advancements thanks to Vesalius and the dissection of human bodies. William Harvey was a British doctor who was born in 1578. He studied at Padua University in Italy. He then went to work in London at the Royal College of Physicians before becoming the royal physician to James I and Charles I. Harvey studied both animals and humans for his work. He realized that he could observe living animals' hearts in action and that his findings could also apply to humans. Galen's original assumptions about the human body included the idea that you had 2 different types of blood, and that they flowed to 2 completely different systems of blood vessels. However, Harvey realized that Galen was wrong. Harvey correctly stated that blood must circulate all around the body. Harvey's ideas were shown in his books, and they gave doctors a map of the human body. Ambrose Perry was a French barber surgeon who was born in 1510. Surgery was still a low-status profession. Perry worked for a public hospital and later went on to become an army doctor. His experience whilst he was an army doctor enabled him to make some great discoveries and improvements to surgical techniques. At that time, gunshot wounds often became infected. Doctors didn't really understand why this happened or what they could do to treat it. The treatment was to burn the skin with a red-hot iron and pour boiling oil onto it, which, as you might assume, was highly unsuccessful. Perry ran out of boiling oil whilst he was treating patients in the middle of a war, so he made his own from egg yolk, turpentine and oil of roses, which turned out to be a lot better than the previous technique. He also improved the treatment of amputations. Before Perry, the blood vessels were burned to stop the bleeding, but Perry developed a technique which he would tie all the bleeding blood vessels off with threads called ligatures. It reduced the chance of the patient dying from shock, but did increase the chances of infection. However, these new physicians did face some doubts. The work of Vesalius didn't have an immediate impact on the diagnosis or treatment of disease. However, by producing a realistic description of the human anatomy and encouraging dissection, Vesalius provided an essential first step to improving them. Harvey also faced doubts about his theories. It was a long time before doctors used them in their treatments. For example, people continued to perform bloodletting even though Harvey had shown that the reasoning behind it would be wrong. Perry's ideas were also resisted by doctors as they felt he was a lowly surgeon and he shouldn't be listened to. He eventually became a surgeon to the King of France, and it was only because of the King's support that his ideas were accepted. And finally, there's a very important link here that you can use in your essay question in the medicine paper as a link between individual scientific advancements and the development of science and technology. The process of printing was invented by Johannes Gutenberg in the 1440s, and the first British printing press was set up in the 1470s. This invention of printing meant that books could be copied more easily. This allowed new ideas to be shared and old, incorrect ideas to be discussed and questioned. That's the end of episode 6 of the AQA GCSE History, Britain, Health and the People revision series. Next episode will be on the changes in medical treatment. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed.